For a long time, I resisted composting. I think our first attempts in the house were ill-informed, and so we had lots of tiny little gnats flying around in the kitchen and lots of strange new smells I had never smelled before in my life. So in my own inimitable way, I banned it. But after many challenges from our dear students, that'd be you, I decided to give it another try. Now we've done it for a couple years, and I have to say, it's working. As a matter of fact, we figured out just this past week that we have saved some 500 pounds a year from the waste dumps around town. And even more perhaps, we are leaving this good earth even better. We are part of something, it feels like, in that house that just seems very, very important right now. Granted, it involves some pretty disgusting stuff, smelly and ugly and messy and bacteria-producing living thing, and at the same time, helping build a more sustainable, more productive, healthier planet. You know very well, I'm sure, how it works. Instead of throwing out leftover fruits and veggies and grass from the lawn into a landfill somewhere, we use it. We use it. We put it in things like this little container in the kitchen of the house. We put it in there, and hopefully, eventually, someone will take that little thing and empty it to a bigger box out back. This is our garbage, but it still holds organic and healthy things inside of it, this garbage. And when it's combined with bacteria and air and heat, it breaks down. And that breaking down opens it up. It breaks it down, those things, and that breakdown opens it up to become nutrients for our soil. It feeds the earth of our gardens now and the fields for planting and growing beautiful flowering things and healthy foods. It is a powerful and complex chemical process that takes time, up to 10 years even of time. Composting is taking what we label garbage, unused, unwanted scraps that are tossed away and we consider of no value, and coming to see that those piles of scrap are the secret of a garden's success. Those piles of scrap are the secret of a garden's success. It begins so ever so slowly to change in form and substance into this rich, natural fertilizer we know as humus. Humus, which shares the same root as the word humility, which shares the same root as the word human. A root that literally says, of the earth. Humus, humanity, humble, all of them from this word that means of the earth. I've been getting more into these sorts of things and trying to understand so much more, and as you know, you guys probably know, I'm getting near the end of my life, a little more every day. And so I've started to plan my funeral. And I sort of thought I had a plan where I was going to have my body in church and then get cremated afterwards. But then somebody put me on to this green funeral thing. And then I found these things called funeral pods. And you put your body in this sort of burlap bag that looks like a tulip bulb. And you put it in the ground, and you're up in this sort of fetal position inside this bag, the womb. And out of my head grows a tree. It's like really cool. I'm very intrigued. But the very best thing any gardener can do for the garden is to amend the soil. The very best thing any gardener can do for the garden is to amend that soil. The soil in this area especially is densely packed clay in many ways. And so to amend that soil means to break it open to possibilities. And it's amending the soil that it begins to yield the beauty we're starting to see all around us these early spring days right now. It's beginning to flower everywhere we look, and it's beginning to break into delicious, fresh fruit and vegetables that are filling the produce aisles of our supermarkets. And the truth is, all those beautiful flowers and all that fresh fruit comes to us, but it comes with no small price. You know, no small price, this stuff. It strikes me that this whole process, this process that just takes time, strikes me as something so holy and so mysterious. It's almost like it's a holy mystery, what's happening here. A holy mystery, hidden, powerful, and oh, so real. It's about that process, that hidden, mysterious, holy process that Jesus referred when he said to his disciples on the hillside, he said, look over there. He said, look over there at the wheat blowing in the wind, those grains of wheat. Pay attention to how they happen. Unless that grain of wheat falls to the ground and dies, it remains just a grain of wheat. But if it goes into the ground, into the soil of this good earth, it breaks down, and the best in it breaks open. This process is everywhere around us and everywhere within us. It's the mystery right there in a grain of wheat. It's the mystery right there in that compost bin. It's the mystery of everything. It is. If you happen to have been here the first Sunday of Lent, I referred then, at the very beginning of this season, to our demons. Our demons. Those things about us that we know are wrong. We know what's wrong with us. And oftentimes we look at what's wrong with us and we hate it or we fear it in ourselves. Carl Jung called it the shadow side of our personality, the underbelly of us. It's those character flaws and traits that I'd rather not have. Most of us are truly bothered by them, and we hope they will just someday go away as we move on with our lives. Someday they're just going to go away, but they don't. I said then, and I say it again tonight as we near the end of this season of Lent, we don't have to be afraid of that in us. We don't have to be afraid of those things that are wrong with us. As a matter of fact, we need to get to know those things, those shadows. We need to be totally aware of them in us, around us, and we need to befriend them. And last Sunday, I offered a very practical way to do that. I invited you to think about going to confession last Wednesday in our confession marathon because we find it to be true again and again. It's the genius of our confessional system that when we don't push those imperfections down, when we don't hide them, if we don't turn them into a secret where they get on a life of their own, if we bring them into the light of love, of relationship, confession, or deep friendship, healing can begin when that happens. But when it stays a secret, it stays the demon. We can disarm those things with love. And tonight, as Lent begins to end, I offer you an everyday image that works for me, at least. The compost pile. I need to take the garbage of my life, my defects and my flaws, and come to realize they belong. They belong to who I am. They're part of me, and they have so much to offer me that those things are integral and essential to who I am. None of us will ever get rid of those things, those flaws, those imperfections. Yes, those imperfections. We are imperfect, and we will always do imperfect things and think imperfectly, and those things won't go away. We might as well make friends with them. We might as well bring them into who we are and learn from those imperfections instead of trying so desperately to be perfect. But I'm telling you, those flaws and those imperfections you hate in yourself, that we consider garbage, are the raw material of the process of becoming fully human. Those defects and flaws in you are the raw material of the process of becoming fully human. Yes, there's a stench to it all. And yes, it's ugly to look at. And yes, it draws gnats. But this stuff is what God is breaking down and breaking open for the sake of my human flourishing. They nourish my life by helping me become humus, humble, human, and they help me let you be human as well. The compost pile I used to abhor, I have come to reverence. Just as I have come to reverence this lifelong process at work in me and in you all the time. To get involved in this process is to witness the transformation of physical elements and know that a similar miraculous and holy process is happening within me. Each of those things that are wrong with me are being changed as one season flows into the next, so that I too, in God's time, would experience this miracle of transformation. That's the lesson of the compost pile. The lesson of the compost pile. To be reminded again and again and again the rest of my life that the defects that keep embarrassing me, the defects in me that the world would use to shame me, are valuable. Compostable. To paraphrase a now familiar refrain, you, my friends, are compost, and unto compost you shall return.